first copy, you see an error right here. And in the fourth copy, there's an error right there. Can you reconstruct the original? Yes. And that's what scholars do, is we know what the mistake was and we can correct it by comparing it with other documents. I could alter it, right? But if you had a copy, 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 and I had a copy, and I changed my copy, when you get all your copies together and compare it to mine, you go, Turek, you heretic, why'd you do that?
But even within the hadith records, Sahih Bukhari, Volume 6, Book 61, 509 and 510, is that Uthman, who was the third caliph in the lineage, it was Muhammad, and then it was Abu Bakr, and then it was Umar, and then it was Uthman. That was kind of the lineage. Uthman had so many differences in the empire on the way that the Quran was being recited and the things that were being said, that he commanded all the Quranic manuscripts be gathered together. By the way, this is about 17 years after Muhammad. He burns them, and he puts out an official Quran. No one ever did that with the Bible. There simply was no way ever for the Bible to have been collected and changed in such a way that no one would be able to trace the differences and the changes. But with Uthman, there certainly was a time that it happened, and it did happen. If you have a copy of the Yusuf Ali translation of the Quran, go to chapter 33, verse 6. You'll see that one of the earliest and most respected teachers of the Quran, in the footnotes of this Quran, it says that he had different words present there. If you go to Sahih Muslim, you will see that it says whole chapters of the Quran are missing. So we got to make sure that we come at this conversation with an equal standard, especially when we're discussing the manuscripts. I think part of the reason why Muslims are so comfortable with their Islamic faith is because they haven't critically looked at their own message the way people are so critically looking at the Christian message. The Quran says that Allah has revealed the Quran as the Torah was revealed to Moses, as the Injil was revealed to Jesus. It is validating the manner in which the Old Testament and the Injil was revealed. The Quran is validating it. So who is the Muslim now to say that, this was revealed in a different kind of dictation than the Quran, therefore it's worse? No, the Quran validates it.
Same way. Yeah. So Maliki Yawmiddin was read Maliki Yawmiddin.
Okay.
The Prophet ﷺ in some cases became aware and then asked the angel, is this okay? And the angel said, yes, this astonishes me.
Now, all the following screenshots, they are all taken from QuranFlash.com. It's a Muslim site, and they have all these different mushafs. And you can actually buy these different mushafs in different parts of the Muslim world. Northern Africa, I believe, has more people using the Warsh Quran, and then most of the Muslim world uses the Hafs. But they're still equally all authentic.
Now, so these are the 7 ahruf. They're exactly 7 ahruf that Allah Azza wa Jal allowed the Quran to be recited in, based upon the dialects, the famous 7 dialects of the Arabian Peninsula. Now, when the Prophet ﷺ passed away, the Sahaba understood these differences, and they went to their various lands and respective regions and continued to recite the way that they had been taught, each one as the Prophet ﷺ had taught him. The students of the companions were unaware of these differences. And we mentioned in a previous episode that some of these different younger students met up, for example, in Azerbaijan on the Muslim battlefield, the front lines of the Muslim border. And one of them is reciting according to Ibn Mas'ud, the other one is reciting according to Zayd ibn Thabit, and they don't know that the Quran has been revealed in different recitations. And so they began fighting one another. They began accusing the other one of falling into error. And that is why Hudayfa ibn al-Yaman went back to Medina and he said, "Oh Uthman ibn Affan, you have to combine the ummah on one mushaf, on one recitation, such that all of these other differences are gotten rid of." And so Uthman ibn Affan combined the ummah upon the recitation of the Qurayshi dialect. It was the Qurayshi dialect, and all of the other recitations and versions were gotten rid of. However, even though these other versions were gotten rid of, certain elements were left.
Exactly, in the variants we see what you would expect from humans. If a book was preserved by humans, this is what you would expect. If it was from God, then what's the point in having so many different ones? And it's making it so hard to believe that it was actually preserved, because it seems more objectively likely that it was not from God and it was mostly work of man and work of fallible humans, and hence we see the variants. You notice that the words are written the same, but due to the lack of diacritical marks in the early manuscripts, you're observing this variation where yaqtulun and yuqatilun get mixed up because there weren't no dots. Now the variation is, one meaning would be they fought, and the other meaning is they got killed.
Wow. So this is a perfect example of how lack of dots has ended up with two Qur'ans,
Yeah.
different meanings. Now, again, why would God use a language like this?
In one Quran we see wa kutubihi, and then the other one we see wa kitabihi. And this is a difference in singular and plural. One place it says a book, and the other place it says the books. Surah Baqarah, I believe, in the Hafs Quran it says ta'ami miskin, and the Warsh Quran it says ta'ami masakin. That one place it says feed one poor after breaking your fast, and the other verse it says feed many poor people.
To be clear, I'm not a fundamentalist biblical inerrantist. I do genuinely think there are errors in the Bible, as with any book. But to turn around and say that the Quran has been preserved is outright academic incompetence. Textual critics don't go manuscript hunting for contemporaneous fragments that tell us little about the whole original authorial text. Only the Bible's preservation was an organic process, and Islam failed to standardize an authorial Quran even after using an empire to collect the evidence and burn it. Nothing miraculous about that.